What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be getting into March 11th bracketology. We just did one yesterday, so I think Joe Lundard is going to be popping these ones out every day. So it should be interesting to see how Lundardi has this bracket set up after a crazy yesterday. So if we look at the bracket watch, top of row sees Gonzaga. First team out's SMU, and last team is Indiana. So Indiana, I mean, this is like last night that he made this. Indiana just got a win tonight. I mean, today against Illinois. A huge win. They're pretty much a lock at this point to make the tournament. They got a win against Michigan that put them in over SMU. I feel like SMU does deserve to make the tournament, though. But let's look at the bubble. Starting out with these last four byes, we got Miami, Rutgers, Michigan, Notre Dame. And then we got the last four. We got Wyoming, Wake Forest, Xavier, who not a lock at this point. I mean, they could be out of the tournament, guys. Indiana's going to surpass them. SMU, if they go on a run, Dayton, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma, all these teams are available to make runs. So yeah, Xavier's in at risk. And then we got Indiana, then the first for SMU, Dayton, Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech beating Clemson. Wait, no, that was who did they beat yesterday? Did they beat someone yesterday? I don't remember. Anyway, sorry. And then Oklahoma beat Baylor, of course. Massive win for them. They weren't even in this first four out. They really jumped from that win. And then Texas A&M now is going to be in the conversation after beating Auburn today. But that's not even Virginia's number, unless this was made right at 12 a.m. last night. So it's going to be interesting. Texas A&M is going to be jumping past all these teams into this mix, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, let's look at this bracket. Indiana's going to be new to the field out of 12. San Diego State jumping up to a 9. Michigan going to be dropping down to 11. Oh, craps. It's loading St. Mary's. My bad. Sorry about this, guys. All right, here we are. Let's see. Michigan State's going to be jumping up to a 7. They did beat Maryland. I don't agree with it, though. Marquette's going to be the team that's dropping down if they lost to, I believe, they lost to Creighton. And then Iowa's jumping up to a 5. Houston's going to be dropping down to a 6. And then Creighton's going to be dropping down to a 10. And then Memphis is going to be jumping up to an 8. And Seton Hall is going to be dropping down to a 9 after their loss. So anyway, let's get into this bracket predictions, starting out with Wyoming against Wake Forest. I do like Wyoming in that game. Nicholas, I think, can beat Alcorn State. Indiana, I think, can beat Xavier. Xavier's not winning a game in the tournament, I'll be honest. And then even in the first four. And then Bryant, I think, will beat Wright State. All right, so 4 spot in the Final Four. Gonzaga, I do think, beats Nicholas. TCU, I think, can beat San Diego State. The Mean Green in North Texas, I've done this the past 3 bracketologies. I'm going to do it again. UConn's a good team at 5, but North Texas is a solid 12 seed. I mean, if UConn keeps proving why they're good this tournament, I mean, I could see UConn winning this game. This is a good game that you could go upset with. North Texas is a great team, though, at number 12. They still need to take care of business and win their conference tournament. And then Arkansas, I do think, beats Vermont. I know Michigan just lost to Indiana. Indiana must win. They came back, fought back. I think Michigan's going to have a chip on their shoulder. Alabama, don't like them at all. I'll go Michigan as an 11-seed upset there. Texas Tech, I do think, beats Seattle. Colorado against San Francisco. Colorado State. I'll go San Francisco in that game. And then Wisconsin, I do think, beats Georgia State. All right, moving on down here, we got Baylor beating Norfolk State. Memphis, I do think, could beat Seton Hall. LSU, I do think, could beat Wyoming. They just lost to the Razorbacks today, but they fought hard. That's a good Razorbacks team. Illinois, I know they lost to Indiana today, but I don't see Toledo pulling off that upset. Indiana, they wanted to lock themselves in the tournament. Illinois is still a great team. That's not a bad loss against Indiana. Indiana's came up very close in a lot of games. So that's not a bad loss for Illinois at all. Davidson did not mean to do that. Is that Ohio State or? Yes. Oof. I got this whole thing mixed up for some reason. Sorry about that, guys. Let me see this. All right. Sorry. I don't know how I got that wrong. But anyway, Davidson, I do think, could beat Ohio State in that 11-6 upset. Ohio State's just too inconsistent for me. And they did just lose to Penn State. So that was a loss. Villanova, I do think, beats Longwood. USC, I think. Miami. I'm not a fan of either of these teams, but I'll go Miami. And then Kentucky, I do think could beat Jacksonville State. So then over here, we got Arizona. I know they just lost their point guard, but I do think that they could beat Bryant. Arizona, I've picked to win the national championship a few times. It comes a little bit more difficult once they lost their point guard, but we'll see what happens here. North Carolina against Iowa State. Iowa State is a solid team at 9, but I do like North Carolina in that game. And I'll go with the 12/5 upset, my second one today. Indiana, great team there. Well, not a great team, but they've came up close all season long. Not a big fan of Texas. They just lost to TCU. I mean, I predicted that upset. Texas, I'm just not a fan of at all. I'm going to go Indiana in that game. That one seems like a pretty obvious upset for me. And then Providence, Chattanooga's a good team, but I do think Providence can win that game. St. Mary's, I think, could hold off against Rutgers, and Tennessee, I think, could beat Colgate. Loyola Chicago, I'll go for the 10/7 upset over Michigan State, and Duke, I think, could beat Delaware. All right, down here, Kansas, I do think, could beat Long Beach State. Murray State, I think, could pull off the 9/8 win against Marquette. South Dakota State, a great 12 seed. I don't see the upset happening, though. Iowa is now the best 5 seed by far out of all these 5 seeds. It's unfortunate that South Dakota State had to play Iowa, but it needed to be done, and Iowa is the better team in that game. UCLA, I do think it beat Princeton. Good matchup. Houston, Notre Dame. I mean, Houston, I'm just not a fan of at all, really, honestly. But against Notre Dame, I think that they can win that game. They just beat, I don't even remember who they beat, but they beat someone today. Purdue, I think, could beat Montana State. Boise State against Creighton. Sorry. I like. This is a tough matchup, actually. I'm gonna go Creighton in that game. That's a good matchup. I know the Blue Jays, very underrated team. I like them to pull off some upsets in this tournament. And then Auburn, I do think, could beat St. Peter's, even though Auburn just lost today to Texas A&M. Not a bad loss. Texas A&M, that was a must-win game. But still, I've not been high on Auburn basically all year, even when they were on their winning streaks. Anyway, over here we got Gonzaga, I think, could beat TCU. Although that's a tough matchup for the Zags. Arkansas, playing great basketball. I don't see them losing to the Mean Green. Texas Tech, I think, could beat Michigan. I know a few bracketologists have picked Michigan. They're just too inconsistent for me to pull off that upset. And then Wisconsin, I do think, could beat San Francisco. So chalk there. Down here, Baylor against Memphis. I'm going to go with the 8/1. Baylor just, I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, they just lost to Oklahoma. Like, how does that happen? And Memphis is on a fire right now. I could very much see this upset happening. I mean, there is 2 clear 1 seeds that could get upset right now in Baylor and Kansas. Those are 2 teams that I could see getting upset in the first round. Anyway, Illinois against LSU. LSU is a good team at 5. But I'll go Illinois there. Davidson against Villanova. I'm going to go Villanova, and then Kentucky, I think it beat Miami. So over here we got Arizona, I think it beat North Carolina. That's a good matchup, though. Providence, I do think could survive against Indiana. Tennessee, I think could beat St. Mary's. And then Duke. I mean, Duke is at risk of getting upset in the first round. Not to Loyola, though. All right, I'm going to pick Duke. And then Kansas. Oh, dude. Do I want to go with 2 1 seeds falling? I mean, I've done this upset basically every time. It's a 50. It's enough for me to not do it this time. I just cannot see 2 1 seeds falling. I know this madness. It's going to be madness, like literally in March Madness. It's going to be madness this year. But I do not see Kansas 2 number 1 seeds losing there. I do think Iowa could beat UCLA. Purdue, I think, can easily beat Houston. And then I'm going to go with the 10/7 upset Creighton. That one's an easy upset. Auburn is just overrated. They might drop down to a 3 now. Creighton's a much better team than them. Well, not much better, but that's an easy upset for me to pick. Arkansas against the Zags. I've gone this upset basically the past couple times. Arkansas is just too hot for me not to do it again. So I'm going to have 2 1 seeds fall right here with Baylor and Gonzaga. Texas Tech against Wisconsin. Good game. I'll go Wisconsin, though. Illinois, I do think, could beat Memphis in that game. And then Villanova against Kentucky. I'll go Kentucky. Another good matchup, though. We're having a lot of the same matchups as every time in the Final Four. Arizona against Providence. Don't see that loss happening. And then Tennessee against Duke. I'm going to go Tennessee in that game. Now Arizona's shifted up there, so Tennessee is going to have to go through Arizona in the Final Four and in the Elite Eight game to make it to the Final Four. Anyway, I'm going to go with the 5/1 upset, actually. Iowa against Kansas. That's just an easy money upset for me to pick. Kansas, I mean, not easy money. Kansas is a good team. I just have a feeling they're not going to be able to make it to the Elite Eight. They could be an Elite Eight team. I mean, it depends on the matchups they get. But Iowa, man, this is a good 5 seed there. I think they can pull off that win. And then Purdue, I think, is beat Creighton. So we're going to have a battle. We have a lot of Big Ten teams. We actually have 4 Big Ten teams. So we could see actually not, but yeah, you know what I mean. Arkansas against Wisconsin here. Last time I went with Wisconsin. Arkansas is on hot. I'll go with them. On fire. Not on hot. Kentucky against Illinois. Don't see that upset happening. I'll go Kentucky. Arizona gets Tennessee. I picked Arizona to make Tennessee to make the Final Four these past couple times. But now they're having to go up against Arizona, which they would get matched up in the Final Four when Arizona was down there. I don't see Arizona losing that game. I know Arizona just got their point guard injured. I still think this Arizona team is a legitimate Final Four contender. Next, Purdue, Iowa. Good matchup, but I'm going to go Purdue. Purdue deserves to make the Final Four. So I feel like both Illinois Big Ten teams fall there, and then we got a Big Ten matchup. I'll go Purdue in that game. All right, so we got 2 SEC teams, a Pac-12, and a Big Ten. So Arkansas against Kentucky. I've gone with Kentucky these previous matches. Arkansas is red hot. I'll go the Razorbacks. Why not go with Arkansas in that game to win that one? Purdue is a good team at number 3, battling out against Arizona. I picked Arizona the past every time. They just lost their point guard. I mean, this team, without their point guard, I think that they could definitely lose to a Purdue team. It pains me to do that. I really believe in this Arizona team, but Purdue, man, that's a good 3 seed. This doesn't mean I won't pick them in the real tournament. We'll see, but right now, without their point guard, I think this team is at risk of losing in that Final Four game. So I'll go Purdue. And then Purdue against Arkansas, interesting matchup for the championship. I'm going to go Purdue. I mean, this Purdue team has had so much heartbreaking losses. This is a legitimate championship contender. I think that they can win the national championship. So anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Switch things up a little bit. obviously, come tournament time, I mean, I switch things up on purpose a little bit. I mean, some of these things might not be what they're 50-50 games, but come tournament time, I might switch these up. I just want to make things a little bit more interesting for you guys because returning viewers at least, because you don't want the same thing every time. So I'll go Purdue in that game. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the content, leave a like. But anyway, peace out.